Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Roxy Files. Glad to see you all here. Y'all are already getting started in chat. I see. Hello, everyone. Tonight, Shannon is with me, and we have a special guest, Trevor. Hello, Shannon.
Hello, dear.
Shannon is on location. So am I. I'm at the farm, and she's out and about. We have Trevor with us tonight. I ran across Trevor yesterday on TikTok and flipped on one of his videos and then just kind of started scrolling through them in the morning. And then I just reached out. I'm like, hey, you want to be on the podcast? Travis is kind of doing a decode December where we were talking about yesterday and the fake little red jolly man. Hello, Trevor. How are you?
Hello there. I'm doing well. I'm here on site too, here in Utah. Uh,
Mm, how is
just
the weather in Utah?
well, let's just say there's not snow, but it's cold. Our mountains have lots of snow, but like if I were to walk outside my front door, I'm not having to walk through snow if I have to take my dog out. So but it's getting cold.
How's your weather, Shannon?
It is Southern California, so it's hot. For one.
Whatever, man. It was 18 degrees here last night. I'm a beach kid. We don't do 18-degree weather.
Well, you're welcome to visit out here
No,
anytime.
y'all got earthquakes. We got hurricanes. We can see ours coming. No, ours move at turtle pace. Mm-mm. Well, everybody, yesterday on the Supernatural show, we were talking about the fakery of this Christmas holiday and how it is not related to the birth of Jesus. It's just not even timed correctly. Um, Trevor, would you like to everybody? We'll go ahead and start it out. Trevor and I had a conversation a minute or two ago before we went on air. It's one of the reasons we were delayed a little bit. Trevor is an awakened like us and has a vast knowledge because he's a rabbit hole digger and a researcher himself. Um, Trevor, would you like to tell us how or when you woke up?
Yeah, so to be honest, it was I would say roughly close to like 2019. I made some poor choices that ended me up incarcerated during COVID, and where it really started was not being, I guess you could say, a part of the chaos that I was being fed on the news channels that we would watch in the day room in prison, which the TVs were just consistent news, different channels. Not only that, just like the way that the prison acted during that period of time really just started. I have to lie. Since this we're talking about Christmas, I'm sorry I lied. Where it all started was when I realized that every single adult, every organization, school, and government all told me that Santa was real, and then I came to realize that he's not real. That's where the questions began.
That is, I had never thought about it that far back, and that probably is one of the first real times. See, Trevor, I never thought about that. That probably is one of the first real times
Because
I
you really have to
questioned what I was told.
you really have to think about it. As a young child, it's force fed to you like the propaganda during COVID was. Um, it's every adult tells you that Santa's real. Everyone tells you have to be good, and if you're not good, I mean, maybe very similar to religion as well. But it tells you if you're not good, you will get coal. If you are good, you will get presents, and you go everywhere. And there's pictures of Santa Claus every single place you go. Your school celebrates it, and then eventually you get to an age where you find out that he's not real, and maybe not a lot of kids do, but that was a place that I definitely acknowledged that literally the entire planet lied to me, you know?
Well, interestingly enough, because I grew up Catholic, we already were instilled as like at birth for the guilt and the suffering and all that kind of stuff. We were already terrified to step out of line because that was just how that religion worked, which a lot of this um this whole tradition has been continued on and passed on through the Catholic religion, by the way, which is an amalgamation of both the the pagan side of things and Christianity, which shouldn't really be mixed. And oh, so that whole scare tactic, it's a thing that's in the church. It just, I remember it breaking my heart because I found the presents, like saying, to Shannon from Santa under my mom's bed. And I
Right.
remember like asking my grandma, something about, I basically conned her into telling me that Santa wasn't real because I already figured it out. And so I kind of played it off a little bit, that the rest of that Christmas, but I had a talk with my mom, like, I know what happened. I know it's real.
And
Well,
and then you also have to think about on the flip side, like think about being the child where for whatever reason your parents aren't financially as ahead as your friend at schools, and then you ask Santa for all of these things and he asks Santa for all of these things, and you think that you are really good and earned the presents, and so does he, and you guys are just talking about how excited you are, and then your parents can't afford to get you a brand new tablet or a PlayStation 5 or a hoverboard or this, that, and or other, but your friend's parents could. And then when you go back to school, you guys compare what presents you got. Right then and there, you're automatically instilled from a very young age that you're not good enough because his parents or Santa Claus got him everything that he wanted, and your parents couldn't afford all of that. So it instills a self-confidence thing, right from a very young age, just repeatedly watching people potentially maybe get things that they want from their version of Santa, which is their parents. And then on the flip side, you know what I mean?
And they always shove the whole about it being all about Jesus and the Catholic faith. So, we went to midnight mass. We all participated in the whole, what do you call it? The mangers and that whole
Yeah.
thing. All participated in that, and we were all told that, but yet they pushed so much of you wanting presents, and the only way that you would be in line is by bribery, by gifts, by material things. Like, it has nothing to do with just being a good person. Like, you gotta get presents for that.
Right.
well, and see, in actuality, you're supposed to give, not to receive. You're never supposed to look to receive. Just give unknowingly and hope it multiplies. That's the whole theory of giving anything, well, no matter what day of the year it's on.
Right. And isn't it kind of interesting if you just wanted to point out that potentially all the major holidays where you could see yourself spending the most money are just happen to be like majority of them quarterly. So the profits and the data match when the numbers matter, like there's like, 4th of July is like halfway through the year, Christmas is, and then there's like all these other holidays where they try to propagandize like vacations or camping or barbecues or whatever it may be.
To pump
I
up your
just
quarterly statements.
Right. And to be honest, I've always kind of had this weird vibe, this weird vibration when it came to like traditions and just traditions that I see everybody celebrating when
Without
really like
question.
back let's say for example, we'll do some deep diving, so bear with me because this is a lot of information to chew, okay?
Go ahead.
Okay, so we're gonna start with the where Santa Claus originally even came from. So in Siberian folklore, which is basically was documented in the 19th century, shamans consumed the Amanita muscaria mushroom and would go on these psychedelic trips. Back in Siberia during the Christmas time, there was so much snow that it would completely engulf the entire house. And the only way that you could get in and out of the house was through the chimney because that's the highest point of the house. So there was during the winter solstice, these Siberian shaman, which are basically just like mountain men, but they use plant medicines, etc. too. They would use the reindeer, which is actually also native to Siberia, which the carnivorous tree, which everybody replicates as a Christmas tree, is also native to Siberia. An Amanita muscaria mushroom is the big one that actually Mario actually used as well. It's just the big red one with the white dots. There's thousands of different strains of mushrooms, but this one specifically, you will always know it's the one with the red and white dots. It has a very, very intense psychoactive uh, compound inside of it. And so what really happened is the reindeer would eat the mushrooms, and then the shaman would ingest its urine, and it was done through like the stomach. And during this ritual on the winter solstice, which is the longest day of the year, the pagans were really into the moon phases and earth phases and seasons and eclipses and the et cetera, et cetera. And so basically that's where Santa Claus coming through the chimney and all of that stuff came through. Coca-Cola actually rebranded and took Santa as this Siberian shaman in pre 1900s. And they just started putting this person in ads in 1931, drawing from folklore but erasing its ties to the mushroom, because obviously they couldn't be promoting mushrooms. This spread in the 19th century. Illustrations like Thomas Nast's Santa, which is a picture with that he did on a poem in 1823, a visit from St. Nicholas. Anyways, the lore goes so deep, but really what where Santa Claus comes from is pagan rituals. Now we all know that after Jesus died, or Yeshua, if you want to call him by his real name, because the letter J during the period of his life wasn't an actual letter yet. But through the translation, it has became Jesus. And so when they obviously he's like I don't know, I guess you could say right now in the media you could say that the biggest thing that's happening politically is like Candace Owens and Charlie Kirk's assassination and all of these things. In that period of time, you could say that Jesus was those type of individuals that were getting the attention of all of the masses and talking against the mainstream narrative, which was a very secluded and closed-minded. Jesus the Nazarene, or Yeshua the Nazarene, was actually from a completely different sect of the Jewish religion. He lived in a place called Nazareth that was more like nomads. They lived off of the land. They were vegan. They bathed and baptized, and they believed in the mystic arts. And then that's why everyone knows that Jesus talked in parables. It's because he was talking and teaching and preaching his religious or spiritual concepts in the masses. And you can't just go out and say certain things, especially in that time. Obviously, it ultimately ended in his death from him saying these things. And that's when, you know, obviously they had to realize that this Christian movement was becoming a thing, which it actually didn't start for quite some time after Jesus died. Christianity wasn't a thing. They were actually hiding in caves. The people who still followed Jesus, we found those writings of those people, which a lot of them are in the Dead Sea Scrolls. Um, Sorry, that's a lot of information, but when Jesus t- and this movement started to take flight, and people started to spread his message, the Roman Catholic Church became the Roman Catholic Church because the Roman Empire realized that in order to control everyone, they had to kind of mix it, as well as mix government and religion, which then the Roman Catholic Church obviously went on to rule Rome, and then it did all of the things that it did. That's where all of the pagan, I guess you could say pagan, actually, the word pagan means anything that's not Christian. It usually is deciphering a polytheism religion, which poly means multiple. So, like the Vikings or other cultures, they believed in multiple different gods or energies, or however like you wanted to call it, like Odin, Thor, Loki, all of these people from the Norse, the North's in religion. They're all deemed as gods, but they're all separate. It wasn't until the Roman Catholic Church took over Jesus's actual teachings and turned it into monotheism, which is the worship of one individual. And then, in order to control the masses, they actually took a whole bunch of pagan holidays, and then their their idea of these new Christian holidays and mask them up. That's why it's there actually is like in Egypt, there's the death of the sun god, which is also around the same time that Christmas is for the Christmas religion. There's the winter solstice, which is a lot of, I guess, forest cultures, forest worshiping cultures, hunter gatherer type cultures. Those people followed the winter solstice. There's just like they had to really mash so much different stuff up because obviously the Roman Catholic Church went on to control and conquer everything after that. Really, you know.
Trevor, I got to say, dude, you are on it. I'm sitting over here smiling ear to ear. Um, I think the whole audience is too. We understand you. We feel you. Like that was eloquent, sir. It was. It was
And that's
beautiful.
only the beginning. I just had to take a breath, and I wanted you guys to be able to digest all of that. You know.
Yep. These are the conversations that we have every week, and I'm I'm honored to have come across you on TikTok yesterday.
I
Um,
appreciate you. Thank you for your kind words.
let's see. Let's take a breath here. Let's see who we got in the audience. I see Daniel over there and Diana. Let's see. Lower gods of this world. They grant material rewards of this world. Uh,
Do you also want to know something that's kind of crazy? When I know that we were talking about religions that worship one God versus multiple gods, if you want to go back all the way into Moses and the Ten Commandments, the simple fact that in the Ten Commandments it says, "You shall not worship any other gods," that in itself is admittance that there are other gods than the God or the single God that the Christian religion tells you to believe in. That the commandments wouldn't specify, do not worship false or other gods, I am the only God, if there wasn't other gods, or I guess energies, you could say.
deities, as they would.
Deities, right? I mean, this is how I see it. Every like we were talking prior to when we went live, Roxy. Everything is frequency and energy, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I guess how I see it is the best way is to describe how I could separate one specific energy. And so that you could, I guess, familiarize it with everything else, whether you want to talk about Mother Nature or whatever it may be. Whenever I go to Las Vegas, okay, I can energetically feel a dark yet attractive and enticing energy everywhere. I feel like there's potentially have you ever read the books, Percy Jackson? Great kids books. Anyways,
I've seen some of the movies when.
there's a scene where they go to a Vegas or a casino and they get lost in there forever. It's that same type of energy. There's like a dark energy in Vegas that is so dark and crazy and demonic, you could say, or evil, because that city is littered with abuse and violence and drugs and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
See,
But
I
it
went
also
to. Sorry, I went to Memphis a couple of years ago and went to Beale Street. We went and stayed from like Thursday to Sunday. It was just me and my sister. And when we first got there, the first night we're too exhausted. Next night, I'm like, no, I don't want to go down there. It's crowded. So we ended up going on Sunday. And I can associate that feeling with what you're saying about Vegas. Cause like when you started walking into Beale Street down there, it was just like you could feel I don't know. It's hard to explain. It was like a dark fog of just dirty,
yeah,
evil
Los
pulling
Angeles,
at you.
Los Angeles is the same way.
like
Yeah,
Skid Row, Skid Row. If you're familiarizing with Los Angeles or places like that, that's what I'm talking about. Is like the second you enter that area, you can just feel the absence of love.
yeah, the
Unfortunately,
wickedness of it.
even San Bernardino, which was kind of the original Hollywood before LA was a big thing, they've been like that for a really long time. There's just places like out here, there's a lot of occult things, and we kind of circle back to the amalgamation of these holidays being something that would try to marry Christianity with these pagan things. And it's so intertwined. And it's not even just in one specific religion anymore. They all have picked up on these things. And, it's a very hard tradition to break, but you can tell certain areas, that darkness that looms, that spirit, you see a lot bigger push on these holidays in your being,
Right.
LA, just like in your face, bye bye bye. I mean, even though there's all these homeless people all over the place, it's dirty, it's just full of filth on so many levels. You just see this other side of like flashing lights and bye bye bye, and here's the holidays and we're pushing it on you. So it's kind of a catch 22 on that. And they do that with the flashing lights and all that in Vegas and Memphis. Doesn't I mean don't they have all those occultic buildings and things
Oh
along those?
yeah.
It's like all kind of their
We
buildings.
just have the Mormons here in Utah.
Oh, we got like here, like in Redlands in this area, we were the only place in the whole Southern California area to be allowed to have a Mormon temple. That should tell you how occultic this town is.
This place, yeah. Actually, like one of the, I guess where my, I guess perception changed when it came to cults was really just watching a lot of people talk about Scientology and then making the connections to weird cult things that I've watched when it comes to the Mormon religion as well. A lot of people don't know this. I might break the internet right here, at least for your viewers. Mormons believe that they're Christian and they tell everybody that they're Christian, but they're the only Christian denomination that believes that when you get to heaven, you'll be able to get your own planet.
Yeah, with lives to multiply.
Yeah. They're also the only
Really?
Christian. They're also the only Christian religion that will tell you that Jesus and Satan are brothers versus say Jesus is the Son of God, and Satan is a fallen angel.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
yeah.
The Scientology
Really?
believe something very similar as the Mormons do, but it's also kind of a little more. It's a little more wacky. And
Then, if you wanted to even go further back to the beginning of creation of humans, if you actually really took the genealogy from the Bible, that Adam and Eve had Cain and Abel, I don't necessarily know how well that would work to where thousands of generations later we're just like inbreds, really. Because I mean, if the first child that Eve would conceive isn't a girl, then that means that eventually it would have to. Does that make sense? Without getting too graphic, it just I've seen some clips
Well,
and videos of the families that there's lots of inbreeding in the deep south, and you just think that our entire species started off of that is kind of crazy to think about.
I don't think that Adam and Eve were possibly the only people. They were just the ones in the Garden of Eden. That was just the channel that the book started with,
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
so to speak.
excited for
yeah.
the books of Adam and Eve because I got to read those and there's some very interesting explanations. And then, yes, they did also have girls, they had daughters. And yes, inbreeding was a thing, but when it's just the two of you, it's just the two of you, that was
Right.
it is a very strange concept to think about. But think of inbreeding now, and we tend to forget the equation of all of the fallen and the hybrid stuff that got mixed all in that through us. There's still some of that in some of the bloodlines out here on this planet. So a lot of that, and where they get so messed up, and it's just not something you want to do. It's because they're trying to preserve this Nephilim bloodline, and it gets weird. It was never meant to be. It was not natural to begin with. It wasn't
No.
a made thing.
Right.
Anything messing with our DNA is not natural.
You said Nephilim.
Nephilim, yeah.
Okay, because that's actually what I was where my thoughts were going when we were started talking about that. When I after I had referenced Adam and Eve, is that if you want to take away the Garden of Eden, ancient Sumerian texts say that an alien race called the Anunnaki came from a star system far away to mine gold on Earth, and it makes sense now if you really think about it. One, why humans are obsessed with gold when in actuality it's actually not really that good of a metal unless you're using it for electronics. And so uh so that's maybe why humans are obsessed with gold, because the people who supposedly came and built these pyramids, as well as created a humanoid species to mine gold that was sentient enough to follow tasks, not just the potentially humanoid species, monkey species that was here. That's potentially maybe why we also see different races in humans, is because that same Anunnaki or alien race went all across the planet, where we have multiple locations across the planet where pyramids, similar but different, are all across the world in different locations. And maybe instead of taking the humans they made in Egypt all the way to South Africa in order for the habitat, for them to acclimate to the habitat, they just went down there and made the same humans, but with the native species of monkey down or ape down there, and that's all that we went. But the very first human they created, is what I'm trying to get at, is in the Sumerian text. His name is Adamu, which is crazy that the ancient Sumerian texts, Adamu and Adam, sound very similar, which it all could just be stemming from the same thing. Which that's the, to be honest, my personal opinion is the, uh, I guess, creation story I vibrate with the most, is that potentially a higher being, maybe not even from space, just even a different dimension or frequency, came here and created us.
Well, in Genesis, there is a passage that talks about how the fallen angels came to the earth and mated with women and created the Nephilim, which they considered the men of old and renown.
And they were
And
giants.
they were giants. And it says, and they were giants in those days, which honestly, Roxy, I'd love to see what the Ethiopian Bible, the translation, that they have in that passage, if it's a little more explanatory than, the ones that we have. But I mean, it talks
David and Goliath is Goliath was a giant.
and it talks about how they messed with all, like, the birds in the sky, the beasts in the field. They were genetically manipulating all of God's creation, trying to make chimeras, trying to make hybrids and things. And all those little gods, the little G gods, those are the fallen angels. Those are, and their children. I mean, all these, mythologies you hear from the Norse side or the Greek side or the Roman side, they're all this, or even the South American side, they're all the same beings. Even in Africa, they dress up and have these rituals where they look like the same things as the Kachina dolls here. And with the Native Americans, they were all ruled over by these little G gods, and the main god of creation had separated a people and a section for himself, but he allowed the little gods to rule.
Right. And then that's where the flood came in, is after they did all the genetic engineering and made a whole bunch of mistakes. That's where I think that maybe these mythical creatures that our society still holds on to are just memories of creatures that were around prior to the flood, when the gods decided, like, yeah, we made too many mistakes. Let's just get rid of everything.
What
Well, from the beginning, they've made you conceptualize that anything that was supernatural or otherworldly was just crazy. It wasn't real. It was only what you saw in comic books and movies, that it wasn't possible.
Right.
it's just, even still, like, what are they doing now in science? They are genetically manipulating all kinds of creatures. They're cloning. They're
Bringing back dead ones.
yeah. I mean, it's all, there's nothing new under the sun. And it states in Revelations that the times in the end be like in the days of Noah and
Right.
getting all that genetic manipulation in our face again.
And that's not even on top of the fact that there are multiple billion-dollar industries trying to create the first computer that's smart enough or way smarter than us, but the first sentient robot, I guess, you know.
I'd say they already have. What I truly believe that AI is the disembodied spirits of the Nephilim, of those children who were banished without flesh into another dimension to, in and out of this one and the other, and trapped. They found another vessel. I mean, it's like part of possession. People believe that, statues or different things can be possessed, dolls. Well, now we
Well,
got a widespread net of
well, and this is where we get back into the situation of teaching all of these children the they and them pronouns, because once you remove something's identity, you open the door for something else to enter.
It also says that Jesus says that demons will call themselves they them.
They them, yeah. That's why they're pronouncing these kids now instead of them having identities. They're screwing their heads up so they don't have one. Most
So
of the
any
time,
so
people
any frequency can enter.
absolutely, they're opening the window. They're opening the back door by telling all these kids that they're trans and they don't know who they are. They're just opening the door for demons to get in and nobody's paying that attention. I'm like, come on, people. All it is the back door.
speaking of demons and kind of getting it back onto the subject matter. The video I saw of yours before talking about a little bit about Krampus, and I believe that that was the main depiction of the evil demonic spirit behind Christmas, and the fact, of course, stealing children is part of all of that.
Yeah, he was the punishment demon.
Yeah, can you elaborate a little bit on that for our audience?
So I guess it back they've gotten rid of him now, obviously. Maybe at least in the area of like Scandinavia, Switzerland, the area of where I guess Krampus snot parades still happen. Um but he was, I mean, if I guess you could familiarize it with Jesus and Satan. He was the dark version prior to you're gonna get coal in your before you're gonna get coal in your stocking. He was the uh I guess the hell to the heaven. Whereas give me just 1 second.
Okay.
I have some notes here.
Yeah, we love notes,
I
especially
don't, I don't know, Trevor, if you saw the thing that popped up across the screen a while ago, but Daniel would like you to be a part of our network.
Yeah, I see. I didn't know that was Daniel. I just seen
Yeah, that's
that he
Daniel.
needs to be on the panel.
He's a daytimer. He's normally in the bed asleep by now, but he must have stayed up to watch the show. Are you glad you stayed up to watch the show, Daniel? He's usually asleep by now. Hello, everybody out there. Let me know when you're ready to get back at it, Trevor.
Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to
No,
put it
no, no.
all
You
together.
take your time. We are completely enthralled in this conversation, and the audience is too. They're all loving it. Thank you guys for showing up tonight.
Okay, so Krampus is a horned demonic figure from Central European folklore, primarily in the Alpine regions of Austria, Bavaria, Slovenia, Croatia, and northern Italy. Sorry, I was wrong about the geographical location. But basically, like I said, the dark counterpart to Saint Nicholas. While Saint Nick rewards good children with gifts on December 6th, Krampus punishes them for the naughty ones. He was half goat, half demon. He let's see, his origins. Pre-Christian roots is likely from pagan Alpine traditions, not directly Norse, but despite some myths linking him as like the son of Hail, which is a Norse, the goddess of the underworld. He let's see, in the 16th and 17th century, um in German speaking areas is when he was like first became like very prominent. Christian incorporation, I have this down, is that he became Saint Nicholas's companion. The church tried to suppress him multiple times throughout I guess takeover of Christmas that was happening. Now Krampusnacht is on Krampus night, sorry, but it's not, it's spelled Nacht, is on December 5th, and Krampus visits homes with Saint Nicholas. So he was like, I guess, the homie of, I guess, Santa, what we know now. So it's kind of interesting to really think that nowadays, obviously, they can't promote this in at least in America. They couldn't necessarily every year be promoting this demon, right? When we're supposedly supposed to be a predominantly Christian country. So Krampus represents the dark side of Christmas. Like if you- it really goes to show like how esoteric or pagan the original beliefs really were, is that even in these very widespread celebrations or traditions, they had to express duality. So they had like the light and the dark, or the good and the evil, you could say. But they still have celebrations of in these areas in the world about Krampus.
Yeah, they just had some kind of festival, didn't they?
Yeah, it was on December 5th.
Germany is the primary area where they still have the festivals, but there's still a few other Scandinavian places that do have that festival. And it's interesting too because there's usually a lot of reports of just absolute insanity, of a lot of just debauchery and horrible acts with people who are just, dressed up as Krampus. They get, wasted or whatever, and then they go and do horrible demonic things. It's like it embodying the spirit of it.
Right.
Well, and the whole thing about hiding behind mask and makeup, even like on Halloween, when you're hiding who you are, you're pretending to be something else. When people put a mask on, whether it be for, social media or Halloween or anything, when you put a mask on and you're not yourself, you're hiding something. And if you're hiding something, there's a problem with that because you're not being your true self. It maybe gives you permission to be a little over the line sometimes. I don't know.
I
It's
seen a comment from Truth Co-op Diana. It says the Cabbage Patch Kids. I just
yeah,
wanted I just wanted to touch on this because the Cabbage Patch Kids actually originated from when they were um, selling babies at fairs, and maybe specifically, it all starts in Tartaria, which is the civilization that was very far technologically advanced that they got rid of with a mudslide. That they'd have these huge world fairs where they would people wealthy families would go all across the world to these fairs and basically go up to the orphanages and buy kids, and that's where the Cabbage Patch actually came from, is that the Cabbage Patch Kid was like a kid that was being sold that had good genetics, that looked good, or you know.
it might have
Yeah.
been like Santa or Krampus, possibly for not being good.
Yeah, something.
You know what I'm
It is a little weird.
saying?
Yeah.
There are all
All right,
that
guys. I
are.
just want my kids are attacking me at the door. I just want to say I really appreciate you guys having me on. Roxy, stay in contact. I look
Thank
forward
you,
to
Trevor. I'll message you
jumping
tomorrow.
on a bunch more. If
All
you
right.
guys want
Thank
to,
you. Have a
yep.
wonderful evening.
Bye bye.
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 Mhm.
Well, that was an unexpected coolness tonight, wasn't it, everybody? I was on TikTok yesterday and I saw a couple of his videos and I'm like, I gotta get this dude on the show. And he's been like the coolest ever since.
That is awesome.
So I'll get in touch with him tomorrow, Daniel, and put us all in touch with each other. But I hope everybody out there's doing all right. That was wonderful. I don't know about it. How about for y'all? But I enjoyed that. Um,
Hopefully,
Hello, everybody. Diana, Big E is in the house. Mike's in the house.
I hope he can
Carol.
for testimonial Tuesdays because it would be really cool to hear his testimony. He kind of started going in on it, but switched up to more of the topic, so it would be cool.
Well, I told him to, he could, I told him before we got started, I said, listen, this is who we are. We come here as a community to be together, and you tell us what you feel like expressing. You don't have to go any further than you want to go about who you are, what you are, how you got here. So, and just thought we wanted to talk because I saw some of his TikToks and I thought he was an interesting human being, and I was on the money, I think, guys. So, what do y'all think?
Woohoo! That's
So,
my
wh-
woohoo.
what are you out and about doing tonight, Shannon?
I am going to try to learn how to tune my lyre. I'm at my producer's house, and I brought my son. He's working on a project for him right now, and then we're gonna try and get some cool stuff recorded onto my theme song for my channel.
Well, you get it, girl. Get it, get it. Go enjoy that Southern California warm weather.
Yes.
We over here on the East Coast, Alaska, is what it feels like.
I just someday want a season. That's all. Like I get it that everyone else is cold and I don't like being cold. Mind you, I am a total wimp, okay, when it comes to being cold. But it just would be so cool to have seasons. It just would. I've never seen it like all my life.
We
Yeah.
have them. Sometimes we have multiple in one day over here in the Southeast. Like when you get up in the morning, you need a jacket, but you have a sweater and a t-shirt on up under it. And if you got on, like tennis shoes or something, you got a pair of flip flops in the truck with you. Because as the day goes on, you're gonna have to start shedding layers, and as the day goes down, you got to start adding them back on because you'll have a huge temperature swing.
Yeah, we don't really have that. It's pretty much steady hot, except for occasionally when it's different.
Yeah, we've had a couple of 20-degree nights here lately, and they're just like bone cold, dry cold. I don't know. It's just cold. I've actually seen some TikToks of people that are getting snow up north. They're taking snowballs and like trying to melt them, and snow doesn't melt.
Yeah, that there. I feel for the last several years, the snow has not been snow, and it's really disturbing. Although, which makes a lot of sense too, because a couple years ago, we do have mountains very close by, and we have snowmageddon up here, up in like Crestline and Lake Arrowhead area, and it's the snow was so intensely heavy it collapsed roofs just all over the place. It was just so different. And I just
There's a
don't,
bunch of flooding up north of you, and they're up in Washington State and stuff.
yeah, and this weird fog. Like people are evacuating because of this fog, which I find to be weird. Who evacuates over
All
fog?
right, now, and you don't know what you're seeing on TikTok as to what of it's true, so I'm putting it out there, and y'all report back to me. I was seeing multiple reports of like these like fiery meteors in Georgia in the past night or two. You
Uh,
don't know how much of it's AI or replicated or what it is, but they were like actually showing them, boom when it hits the ground and there's an explosion. So I don't know. You don't know what's real and what's being suppressed. So just putting a feeler out there. Anybody else seen any of this?
that's
Let's keep
interesting.
an eye on this weather because it seems to be going haywire on both coasts.
Yeah. So awesome.
Did you know? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Did you know there's a thing called a dirt volcano, Shannon?
What? No.
Okay, well, see, you know my brain. I needed to know why these buildings up north have dirt three-fourths the way up a basement window, right? Some of these buildings look like they were just buried. Okay, how did you bury them and not knock them down?
Yeah.
Because if it would have been a mudslide, the pressure of that mud would have knocked them down. Look at
Right.
what happened with Helena through the mountains. These buildings don't look like that. They're just standing there. They just look like all of a sudden the mud rose up. You know what makes dirt rise like that?
What?
You can, if it's in sandy soil, you take a bucket of sandy soil and you put like below it, you put an air pad, it's going to blow air up through the sand. The sand will liquefy and everything in it will sink. It's
Interesting.
called a dirt volcano. It's like a lavaless volcano. It's heat and air, and it comes up and like aerates the sand, so it just vibrates whatever's on top of it down.
Do they also call it liquefaction?
Yes,
Ah, ah, ha, ha, ha. See
it's a
this?
dirt volcano. It's just like hot air. It's like steam. You know what I'm saying? Like you got a volcanic eruption, but instead of it being lava, it's just like hot steam, and it just liquefies the dirt, and everything sinks down. So
Interesting.
what caused that?
Exactly what caused that?
What energy did you set off in the earth to cause that to get that hot to go all of a sudden?
Hmm.
See,
Do you
that's on screen number 3 in my brain right now.
gonna say? Do you have further information on this, or are you still?
Working on it. I got distracted in the Gospel of Mary Magdalene today, and
Eh,
I'm reading an company with it, and yeah, I got like sidetracked for 7 hours in this today.
that is
Couldn't stop.
awesome. That is awesome.
But yes, vibration, frequency. That is what caused it, Diana. And I'm pretty sure we're talking Tartaria and all of his stuff just sinks. And then they steal some time. They just stole it. They moved your calendar right on up. But anyway, that's where my brain's at. That's where my theory's at the moment. My spreadsheet is leading me there, we shall say. Putting the clues together. What rabbit hole are you in, Shannon, before we leave these fine folks tonight?
I am kind of on several of them right now. I think, the food thing, I'm still kind of putting around to the whole two witnesses. Like this two witness thing, I'm super intrigued. So I might have to do a show on that here soon.
Follow what you called for.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, in the comments, leave us whatever rabbit hole you're in. Tell us where you're at. Let's see if anybody's got a puzzle piece somebody's missing. Thank you guys for coming tonight. We've been here about an hour now. So, I guess Daniel, if he's still in the audience, is having a show tomorrow on Logic Before Authority, and then you having a show Thursday night, Shannon.
Yeah, with you, hopefully.
Ooh, tell them what new subscribers are in for. Go ahead, tell them.
That's right. So we have 3 amazing books from our friend David Beverly, also known as Jesus Free Computer Geek. It is called The Incoming Flood of the AI, right? And like the Return of the Nephilim. I always mess this up, but tomorrow, or sorry, not tomorrow, but Thursday, I'll have an actual copy to show you on camera so you can see it with your own eyeballs. But 3 of our lucky new subscribers this month will be able to get a copy of this. And David Beverly has upped the ante. If you write a review on Amazon for his book, anyone who already has it or anybody who receives it for this whole thing will also be in the running for a laptop.
Yeah.
Woo!
Okay, Daniel, are you having a show tomorrow? He says, I'm here. I'm here.
Hey, Daniel. Hey, Mike. I don't know if Super Dave is on either, but I know he got his Bible today. Yay!
And no answer. It's like crickets.
Well, I think he's going to have a show tomorrow.
I
Let's
do too. I hope everybody enjoyed Trevor tonight. His TikTok channel is, I guess I should throw that up there. Hang on, because he was pretty cool. That was a fantastic conversation. His TikTok channel is called Trip Over Drip.
that's cool.
This is his TikTok name. I should have got his link so I could drop it in, but that's his TikTok name there, Trip Over Drip. But he's very cool. You'll see him. He's got dreads. He's in a most time he's in a tie dyed shirt and he's dancing to something funky and he's got something very intellectual to say. So go check him out if you TikTok. He may be on other platforms. I don't know. I'll get up with him tomorrow and get some links to post up. I didn't expect what we got tonight. That was fantastic. Daniel's yes, he says yes. So yes, there's a show tomorrow for Daniel on Logic Before Authority. We will be back on Thursday night on Children of the Most High. If you haven't subscribed to us, please go subscribe to us. We're trying to get our numbers up. Um, Shannon told you all subscribers, you know, in the running here. Go click the button. It's just a button. It's just a button.
Starting, of course, December 1st. So if
Yeah,
you guys,
December 1st to December 31st. All
woohoo,
right. Have a good night, Shannon.
bye.
Good night. Love everybody.